Hello, everyone, and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1102, 1102, Tuesday, April the 14th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, well, it looks like that the White House put out a statement yesterday that Trump is not going to fire Falchi. So what's that all about? Well, it has a lot to do with that interview that Dr. I'm with her Falchi did with Jake Crapper on this past Sunday morning, where he basically threw Trump under the bus, which he often does pretty much every time he gets a chance. And of course, he's taking lots of heat from that. And then, of course, people came up with a fire Falchi deal, and Trump retweeted that. He didn't make any comments. He just retweeted the fire Falchi. And of course, that's Trump's way of sending Dr. I'm with her Falchi a message. It's Trump sending a message. And of course, on top of that, we had Andy Biggs coming out and saying Trump should fire both Falchi and the scarf-wearing magpie. And so obviously the heat being turned up. Now, of course, Monday in the typical daily press conference, you notice that Dr. I'm with her Falchi went up and actually spoke much sooner than he normally does. And the purpose for that was for him to go up and walk back that interview and what he said in that interview. So clearly, Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, probably the first time he saw Falchi after that interview, probably chewed his ass out and said, "You are going to go up to that podium and you're going to walk that back." And that's exactly what he had to do. You can tell that he was eating crow the whole time. And he was even asked by one of the fake news reporters, "Are you only making this statement because Trump made you or whatever?" He said, "Of course not. I've never said anything I've been forced to say or whatever." So anyway, he's trying to walk it back. He's trying to save a little skin, but he knows that he's in deep shit with the prez. I mean, you do not go out on a Sunday morning show and pull a job on your boss like that. And of course, President Trump is his boss. And it's a very stupid thing for Dr. I'm with her Falchi to have done. And of course, I'm sure Dr. Birx is standing there watching and probably learning a few things. So she doesn't really throw Trump under the bus. She doesn't really take the bait, but she never really praises him either. So, and I'm still not sure that there's not some sort of a scam going on here. But what they also don't tell you from yesterday's reporting is what Dr. I'm with her Falchi was doing before the press conference on Monday morning. What was he doing? He was meeting with the members of the Democrat Congress, and I believe it was the Black Caucus people he was meeting with, along with some other House Democrats. And what's this all about? Well, it has a lot to do with digging up the various information that they're going to cultivate for their next coup attempt, which the bug-eyed fool's working on right now. They're going to produce a series of reports. They're going to try to show that President Trump withheld or deviated funds away from black and minority communities during the coronavirus so-called bailout. They're going to try to say that Trump didn't treat blacks and minorities the same way with bailout money, that he was diverting money away, not focusing money on those areas, and they're going to try to impeach him again based on the fact that that these reports that they're going to cultivate are going to try to show where money was diverted away from black and minority communities, and that Trump ordered it. That's the next impeachment coup coming down the pipe. So just be on the lookout for that. So there you go. Dr. I'm with her Falchi eating some humble pie, eating some crow after that Sunday morning appearance where he likely got his butt chewed by Mark Meadows. And you could tell that he was, that he probably got his butt chewed. I mean, it was pretty obvious. So he can say what he wants, but I mean, that's basically what happened. And maybe he learned a lesson here. I don't know. Because like I said, just before the press conference, he's meeting with the Democrats in Congress to help them put together their next coup plot. So we'll keep our eye on Dr. I'm with her Falchi and his cohort, the scarf-wearing magpie, and we will see what they contribute to the cause for the next impeachment coup. Moving on, well, let's see. Yes, that moves us right into the next topic, which is, of course, Burrows Mojo. Now, Burrows Mojo may be right now one of the luckiest men on the planet, or the luckiest man in showbiz, certainly, because it's the coronavirus that's keeping the spotlight off of him. And but it really doesn't matter that much, I guess, because he's still out there trying to get some FaceTime. But every time he does, he only does more damage to himself. So we have some more gaffes, just showing that he continues to deteriorate even worse. So he's got his little interview, I guess you would call it, a little split screen interview thing going on now. So I guess he's updated his technology a little bit, and he's interviewing some guy named John. Now, who is John? I don't give a damn. You don't give a damn. No one cares who John is. But he's interviewing some guy, John. This is Burrows Mojo. He's having some guy, John, on his little podcast there. And he says, this is the exact, I wrote it down word for word, stutter for stutter. This is how he opened up his segment with John. Quote, I'd like to welcome John to the show. John, thanks for being here, pal. Well, the the fact is that there's a lot going on. I don't even know where to begin with this, but yes, that was the opening for his latest video. Let me give that to you one more time. Here was the latest opening for Burrows Mojo's video. I'd like to welcome John to the show. John, thanks for being here, pal. Well, the the fact is that there's a lot going on. I don't even know where to begin with this, but and then he goes on for more stuttering and staggering and whatever you want to call it. But clearly he can't process and organize any of his thoughts. He can't even complete a sentence. But that is your Democrat nominee, at least for now. I don't believe that's going to be that way for very long. I believe, in fact, right now they're working on a plan to replace him with someone. And they may be left with no one other than the Rotten Reverend. But even she can complete a sentence. So she's likely in the running. Then, of course, he gives another interview where he says, quote, that he... It's not a quote, this is what he says in the interview, though. He says that he wants to put millions of citizens on a pathway to citizenship. He wants to put millions of citizens on a pathway to citizenship. Well, I'm guessing he'll be about 100% successful at that. Oh boy. And then there's several articles out again over this weekend talking about his VP and who's it going to be and this type of thing. And there's literally a story out there that some people want you to take seriously, and I can't remember where it first popped up, but it's been repeated on many liberal sites, where they're now suggesting that Biden's VP pick could be a transgender. Oh boy, that's a problem. That's a problem, because he said he was going to have a female VP. Well, if he gets a transgender VP, that's not exactly a female. In fact, even identifying someone as a male or a female is a problem for a lot of people on the left. But if you're transgender, what are you? Are you male or female? Who knows? So if he puts a transgender there, people say, well, you said you put a female. Transgender is not a female. It's a female becoming a male, or a male becoming a female, or something. Either way, it's not really a female. So, boy, he's getting himself into hot water on that one. My guess is he's not going to put in a transgender VP. That probably won't play very well in Peoria, nor will it play very well in the South, in the Midwest, or pretty much anywhere in the country besides the far left or far right coasts. So I really don't see that happening. I'd like to see it happen. I mean, it would add to the entertainment. I mean, we really do need a transgender in the clown car, because I don't think we have one of them yet. So maybe we do need a transgender in the clown car. Maybe Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner or whatever his or her name is now. Maybe that would be a good choice. You pick up all those Kardashian fans. So then we also have on Monday, yesterday, we have Commie Bernie coming out and giving an endorsement, doing a video, split screen video, live stream with Burrows Mojo. And why did he have to come out on Monday and do this live stream video with Burrows Mojo and give him a full endorsement? Well, he had to because on Sunday, the Democratic Socialist of America's official position, they put out a banner which says hashtag Hell No Joe, and they came out with an official statement for the Democratic Socialist of America, saying that they would not, under any circumstances, endorse or vote for Joe Biden, regardless of Bernie's endorsement. So there you go. It looks like Bernie is not going to be able to bring along many of the Bernie bros. It's just not going to work, and everyone knows it. Of course, we're also hearing that, in fact, not just hearing, this is Joe Biden's own words. He says in this live stream with Commie Bernie, he says, after praising Bernie up and remember, he's just praising Bernie up and down. They're just sitting there praising each other up and down. Biden and Bernie praising each other. And then you get Biden saying, after getting a full-throated endorsement from Commie Bernie, you get Biden saying, I'm going to need you not just to win the campaign, but to govern. And I think there's even a point in there where he says, I'm going to really need you in the White House. What's he mean by that? Is he offering Bernie a cabinet position? I would not doubt it whatsoever. And the DNC would probably encourage him to do so. Because the DNC, while Bernie and Commie Bernie and Burrows Mojo are sitting there kissing each other's testicles and rubbing each other's whatevers, the DNC is plotting behind the scenes on how to rid themselves of both of them. As far as they're concerned, they're pretty much rid of Bernie, and now they're working on a way to get rid of Biden. And I expect that will happen. I really don't see Biden ending up at the Democratic Convention becoming the nominee. I will be shocked if that. I hope it happens, but I will be shocked if that happens. Absolutely shocked. So again, and I don't even know if that's a good strategy. I mean, the Bernie bros are not going to vote in hordes for Burrows Mojo just because Biden endorsed him and because Commie Bernie endorsed Biden. Just because they're here kissing each other's butts on a live stream doesn't mean Bernie supporters are going to flock to Biden. In fact, just the previous day, we had the Democratic Socialist of America coming out saying, hell no, we're not going to vote for Joe, no way. And of course, that's the four horsewomen of the apocalypse. That's Cortez and Omar and their group, and all those other people that are part of the Democratic Socialist of America. They are not going to come out and vote for Burrows Mojo, plain and simple. So I don't know what the net gain is here. I mean, you may get some of Bernie endorsing Burrows Mojo may bring some Bernie supporters to Biden, but I think if you're out there being forced, as Biden, it looks like he's being forced to bring on Bernie and take on a lot of his agenda and praise him, then you go out into the general election and the Trump campaign is going to hit you hard on that. They're going to hit you hard on that. So while you may get some Bernie bros, most will not vote for Biden. But the ones who do, yeah, he'll get some numbers there. But how many people are you going to lose amongst Democrats or moderate Republicans or independents who look at you and go, oh, so you actually are endorsing Bernie and you're going to bring some Bernie's ideas into your campaign. You're going to endorse some of the Bernie stuff. Well, I mean, that's probably going to hurt Biden. I think it hurts Biden more than it helps him to bring Bernie into his camp. I think the best thing he could have done was distance himself from Bernie and his commie ideas and try to move to the center. but Biden is actually moving far to the left, and in order to get Bernie's supporters, he's being forced to essentially advocate for Bernie's agenda, which was so unpopular that it could not even win in a Democratic primary, where we're told that it's a progressive party. I mean, I just don't see whoever is advising Biden, they're giving him bad advice. Bernie will cost you more votes than he will bring you, is what I'm saying. Now, after Bernie comes out and endorses Biden, you get Bernie's press secretary comes out with a tweet, and she lists the issues that Bernie never raised about Biden, and this is supposedly to make Bernie look good. It's like, hey, Bernie's a great guy. We didn't hit Biden on sexual assault allegations. We didn't hit Bernie on a pattern of unwanted touching. We didn't hit Bernie on Burisma. We didn't hit Biden. It's Bernie's press secretary gloating over the fact that Bernie didn't hit Biden on sexual assault allegations, and she lists them. This is her list, not mine. A pattern of unwanted touching, Burisma, lying about his civil rights record, and of course she didn't even bring up anything about the fact that he's losing his mind and that he's got dementia. So none of those things did Bernie hit Biden on, and here's Bernie's press secretary bragging about that fact, which is driving Bernie supporters absolutely insane. It's like, yes, you didn't hit him on any of them issues, and you should have, because if you would have, he might be the nominee instead of Biden. But Commie Bernie has no backbone. That's just the bottom line. And to all you people, as I told you in 2016, don't send this con man your money. But you did it anyway. Hundreds of millions of dollars, and you people got conned and suckered. And then here we go again in 2020. And I tell you people, back when the Democratic primary started, Bernie Bros, this guy is a con man. Do not send him a single penny. Yet, what did you do? You went out and sent him hundreds and millions of more dollars, so he could turn around and screw you again just like he did in 2016. This guy is a con man. It's too late now. He's done taking your money and he's down the road. He's down the road. Are you feeling the burn, Bernie Bros? After you sent him all that money, and what did you get for it? Well, you're feeling the burn. That's right. You are feeling the burn. So there you go. That's what you got. Again, I don't think that. I think the people laughing hardest right now, of course, the DNC. My guess is that the DNC check to Commie Bernie probably cleared the bank sometime this past week, and that's why he came out and gave the endorsement, because the check has cleared the bank. He's probably out looking at a new boat or a new house or something like that. We'll find out what. You can bet, though, in the next few weeks, we're going to learn that Bernie has just gotten a nice new luxury item of some sort. Boat, car, plane, house. It'll be something. Bernie's about to cash that check. It just cleared the bank from the DNC. Probably backed by Bloomberg. So, but the fact of the matter is, behind the scenes, while Biden is not even aware of this, Bernie probably is that the Democrats probably told Biden, go ahead, bring Bernie on, try to get his supporters, try to do whatever you can do. Because I think in their mind, they know that they're going to deep six Biden just as soon as they get a chance. Maybe at the convention, maybe before the convention. But I think that this whole thing's rigged on the Democrat side. I think that they've probably already got a couple other people in mind. But I think that they're going to ultimately get down at the end of the day. You keep hearing Mark Cuban's name pop up. You keep hearing Andrew Cuomo's name pop up. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, Hillary's people have way too much influence, way too much power within the DNC. All the super delegates are rotten Reverend Clinton people. The people who run the convention, Perez and Podesta, are the top two people there running the DNC for the 2020 election. I mean, I'm telling you, I would be very, very surprised if Biden ends up being the nominee. So whatever promises that he's made to Bernie or his supporters, it doesn't really matter. The DNC sitting back laughing because Biden can promise all he wants to Bernie or whatever, because when the time comes, Biden's likely not going to be your nominee unless the Democrats are really, really nuts. If they're going to put, if they go ahead with Biden, he's going to get stomped, curb stomped. Let him do it. Or let him bring in the rotten Reverend Clinton. I don't care. Trump's going to stomp both of them. Now, of course, as I mentioned to you earlier, the bug-eyed fool was on MSNBC recently, and he's talking about the fact that he's holding hearings on Trump's response to coronavirus. Yeah, they're not even waiting for the whole thing to even be over. They're starting the hearings right now, and it's going to run all the way through the 2020 election. These hearings will ultimately end up resulting in impeachment, another impeachment push by the bug-eyed fool. This time, I believe that the angle they're going to use is that they're going to try to cultivate some phony information that's going to try to show where Trump diverted money away from stimulus relief, whatever you want to call it, money away from blacks and minority communities during the coronavirus pandemic. I think that's where they're going to go. That's the road they appear to be going down, and it looks like Dr. With her Falchi and the scarf-wearing magpie will likely be contributors to the effort. We'll keep our eye on that for sure. Now, in the comments section, Douglas made a very good comment when I was talking about the fact that Durham is in Washington, and he came to Washington, drove down in his own vehicle, and as far as we know, he's staying there, hasn't left. And I think Douglas was asking how I know that. So it was in the Wall Street Journal article. Douglas, that's how I know that. Now, it could be a lie. Maybe it's not true. Maybe he's gone back. But essentially what it says in the Wall Street Journal article is, quote, well, it's not even a quote, just something I wrote down. I don't know if it's the exact quote, but this is from the Wall Street Journal article, which is the one that everybody was piggybacking on last week. They wrote that Durham has relocated to D.C. He didn't just come down for a trip, for a visit. He has, this is their words, not mine, relocated. Now, I don't know about what you think relocated means, but to me, relocated means relocated. So Durham has relocated to D.C., the District of Criminals, and he relocated to the District of Criminals at the end of March so that he could continue work on his investigation amid the coronavirus pandemic. Now, what they're suggesting here is that he doesn't want to get caught in a situation where there's some sort of a quarantine and he can't get out of Connecticut and he's stuck there. And while he's got this investigation, which clearly he wants to have wrapped up, or at least ways he wants to have the majority of what he's working on and get the story out as far as what happened, get the basic indictments in before the general election campaign kicks off. Because he knows that it will be used, if he does it after that, that it will be used by the left in a propaganda effort to hurt Trump. They'll say, well, this is a re-election plot by Trump and Barr and Durham, and it will take away from Durham's investigation, the seriousness of it, the credibility of it. And Durham doesn't want his investigation politicized, and he doesn't want himself to be questioned. He doesn't want the Attorney General questioned, and he doesn't want his real investigation and his real findings to be smeared by the left-wing press with fake news cover line stories and headline stories saying that that Durham's investigation is all part of a election year political plot by Trump and Barr. That's what he wants to avoid. So he doesn't want the investigation getting off track. He didn't want to get caught up in Connecticut and not able to leave. So he decided that if he was going to be hunkered down somewhere, he was going to hunker down where the investigation is taking place. Plus, right after the Wall Street Journal article comes out is when we find out that he actually does have multiple grand juries. Now, he may have grand juries up in Connecticut as well, or Arkansas or somewhere else. But we know for a fact that he's got multiple grand juries in D.C. looking at different things, because we've heard from both DeGeneva and Solomon both saying that they know people personally who've received subpoenas and have already testified in front of those grand juries. So, Douglas, that's what I was referring to, the Wall Street Journal article. He is relocated to the District of Criminals. Okay. And also, we're also seeing another article or another thing in that Wall Street Journal article that I didn't even mention, but they talked about the fact that Durham recently reached out to try to interview Christopher Steele and also Sir Andrew Wood. Steele flatly denied or flatly refused to be interviewed by Durham, and also it appears that the British government is backing him on that as well. So there's also about a paragraph in there on that suggesting that Durham was asking nicely for Steele to be interviewed and Sir Andrew Wood, but if Steele or the British government doesn't want to cooperate, that's fine. But Durham is not the kind of prosecutor to go away quietly. If he wants to interview Steele, he can do it. He can certainly subpoena him, and or he can just indict him, which he could certainly do. I mean, Steele is obviously he was involved in an American election, a foreigner involved in an American election in a malicious way to interfere in the 2016 election, just like the so-called Russians. Actually, it was Christopher Steele, the DNC, the FBI, the CIA, and a bunch of other players who were actually trying to rig the 2016 election, not the Russians, and certainly not the Trump campaign. So it appears that Durham is probably not going to back off of Steele. He's probably just going to go to Attorney General Barr and say, okay, what can we do to get Steele, to get him to answer some questions. And maybe they'll just extradite his ass from London, because my guess is Durham probably would have gone to London and interviewed Steele wherever he wanted to go, his office, a hotel, or anywhere else. But if they want to play hardball with Durham, he'll probably subpoena Steele and extradite his ass back to the States, and he might even indict him. I certainly think that Christopher Steele is prime to be indicted by Durham. He's not just because he's a foreigner doesn't mean that he can't be indicted by the U.S. attorney. He certainly can be, and I wouldn't be surprised if Christopher Steele isn't one of the people who has indictments brought against him. Now, as far as what a lot of people are talking about, the fact that in the District of Criminals, for some reason, and I don't know, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but I keep seeing these stories where it's tougher to get prosecutions in the D.C. Criminal courts because apparently you have to go prove intent or something, which is why they say that Comey didn't go after the Rotten Reverend. It's why they say that the DOJ didn't go after McCabe and Comey for the previous crimes that have been uncovered, is because intent. That for some reason in the District of Criminals they have a higher standard or a higher bar to meet intent. But I don't think that this will be any problem whatsoever for John Durham to prove. I mean, my goodness, all you have to do is take a look at the tweets from Brennan, Clapper, Strzok, Comey, Page, all of these people. Look at their tweets just in the last 6 months, in the last year, since they've left their positions in government. Look at their tweets. Their tweets tell you everything you need to know about what they think about Trump. And look at all the things we learned from the Strzok and Page texts. We're going to stop him. Don't worry, we're going to stop him. The whole 9 yards. All the names that they were calling, clearly they had a severe hatred for the president. And did they take any actions that would back up those things they were saying? Of course they did. It's right there in black and white. We know what they did, and we know what they said, and the two go perfectly well together. They weren't calling Trump a lovely man and a wonderful candidate and a chance for some real change. No, that's not what they were talking about. No, that's not what they were talking about. It was Orange Man bad the whole time. F Trump. That's what it was. Kleinsmith, the whole group. Strzok, Page, Comey, Brennan practically insane, out of his mind with his tweets in the last 6 months to a year. Just take a look at that. Do you think this guy didn't have malicious intent? So as far as being able to prove intent in D.C. or anywhere else, man, if you're a prosecutor and you can't prove intent on behalf of the coup plotters, you are seriously lame. And we already know that John Durham is not seriously lame. We know that he's a damn good prosecutor. And we also know that he doesn't bring cases unless he thinks he can win. So he wouldn't be bringing these people in front of a grand jury and doing all these things he's doing if he didn't think he could prove, not just in this case, intent, but this was, as I said, malicious intent. It's worse than just intent. It's malicious intent. It's criminally intentional, what they did. Absolutely no doubt. It's easy to prove. And let's look at the litany of things that John Durham is going to be specifically focused on in these grand juries. He's probably going to be looking at Flynn, which, by the way, I just heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that Flynn is now suing his original legal team, and he very well should. What a horrible job they did. I think they were working with the Mueller team. So you have the Flynn setup, the Michael Flynn setup, where he's not even told when they come to interview him that it's an official interview, and that he may want to have an attorney present, or that anything he says can and will be used against him in court. No, they stop by like they're going to have a friendly chat ordered by Jimmy the Weasel Comey, and then they use what they get from that to try to frame him up or try to catch him in a lie, even though they have what 302 we do have, which is one that was come up after the fact, says that they don't think he lied. They got him to plead guilty. They didn't prove anything. They got him to plead guilty because they threatened to destroy his family's life, his son. They were going to go after his son if he didn't plead guilty to something, to I guess lying to the FBI, which he didn't do. And we know he didn't do it. Of course, they withheld evidence, so they're still withholding evidence. They're hiding evidence. Durham has got access to all this information. He can prove it in court. And they started going after Michael Flynn as payback because of the fact that he didn't get along very well with the Obama administration. And that's why he was targeted in the first place. The targeting of Michael Flynn began in 2014 before Trump ever even announced that he was going to be running for president. So as far as proving malicious intent in the Flynn case, that's a slam dunk. They didn't do it because they loved him. Then you have the Carter Page incident with the Carter Page FISAs. Well, they flat out knew that he was an informant for the CIA. Yet they went after him anyway, lied again to the FISA court. And then they slandered him. They allowed media leaks to slander the guy for 2 years, knowing good and well every bit of it was a lie. And they were the ones feeding the shit to the media. You don't think John Durham can prove malicious intent there? All lies. Then we have the Papadopoulos situation. Do you think that they didn't have malicious intent there? Who were they going after? Well, Trump was a target, but they did everything they could to Papadopoulos. Hell, they set him up 3, 4, 5 times. Attempted to. It first started with the regular FBI, and then when the Mueller team got really desperate, they went after Papadopoulos, and eventually they're the ones who arrested him, and they're the ones that did the little frame up over there in the Middle East where they dropped the 10 grand on him. And of course it was malicious intent. The dossier. The dossier. Of course, they knew the Right Reverend Clinton paid for it. They knew that Fusion GPS essentially wrote it. And they knew it was all lies. And what was the purpose of that? To maliciously attack the president. And to use these other people around him to get to him. I'm sure John Durham will have no problem proving malicious intent there. How about the FISA court? They lied to the FISA court. Totally malicious intent there. That's a gimme. And then, of course, the Mueller witch hunt with the Hillary donor posse. They're framing Papadopoulos. They're using the fake ledger, black ledger against Manafort, which they knew was a fraud when they used it. All lies. And all of it can easily be proven as malicious intent. Unbelievable. Well, I have more, but I cannot get to it today, so we'll have to get to it tomorrow, where I'll pick up on the same point of all the examples and all the reasons why John Durham will have no problem proving in a D.C. court that there was not only intent, but malicious intent behind everything that these criminals did. Stay tuned for that. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See you guys. Be well and stay healthy. See ya.